Right now, the very latest from Central Command stating that 3 U.S. service members have been killed in action, 5 seriously wounded as part of Operation Epic Fury, several others sustaining minor shrapnel injuries and concussions. CENTCOM also stating that this situation is incredibly fluid as we continue to follow all of these developments, as we continue to receive updates from the U.S. military as well as from IDF and other countries. You know, what can you share with us just in terms of the nature of this operation?
Yeah, we're a little past 24 hours now into significant operations. Obviously, prayers go out to the service members' families and those around them that we've lost. The conflict here is a war in the Middle East, and hats off to the U.S. and Israel for leading what has been an incredible intelligence operation. When you think about this, there was a daylight strike on leadership in Iran, and that was largely because of intelligence showing a congregation of significant military leadership, and it was quite successful. Now we're going into the next phase. The U.S. wants to have absolute air supremacy throughout so we can continue to contain, but we also got to watch out for the proxies. There are significant concerns about what the Houthis may do, the Shias in Iraq, Hezbollah as well. And the other part of this is also what's critical is our adversaries across the globe are watching our every move. You have China right now, you have Russia, you have North Korea, right? Iran used to be part of that circle, and today it may absolutely be removed. And what's important right now is both Israel and the U.S. through President Trump are really calling for the Iranian people to stand up, to go into their streets, to take their government over, and to really bring this into a new world for Iran to work with the free world.
All right. So you just shared a lot there. Let's start off with, you know, the concerns about the terrorist organizations who may feel emboldened in light of the developments that happened in Iran. When we're talking about from the intelligence perspective, no doubt there are a lot of high level talks with the concern that some of these sleeper cells or terrorist attacks could be activated or could come about. What are the discussions happening right now with that a real reality?
I think one of the biggest concerns right now is the Strait of Hormuz. It is a small choke point where so much shipping comes through our economy, for the world's economy. And so Iran knows that, our proxies that are against us know that. If they drop one mine in there, one obstacle, it can create a massive economic turmoil. So I'm pretty confident the U.S. and our allies are paying strict attention to the Strait of Hormuz to keep those shipping lanes the best they can open, but also looking for soft targets, not only in the Middle East, but potentially around the world. This is the first time where our adversaries have really seen Iran where taken out the supreme leader, taken out significant military on the back of their heels, where right now Israel and the U.S. are celebrating these initial first strikes. Our adversaries don't like that. There's still death to America, death to Israel in the streets of Iran. However, you do have a number of civilian groups standing up, not only in Iran, but in America and others, really talking about the success so far. But we are so in the beginning infancy stages with much more to see to come.
And Paul, I did want to share with our viewers, if they haven't seen these before, these are some of the videos, the photos, I should say, from, you know, President Trump, you know, as all of this was happening, speaking with his cabinet members, his advisors, all the high level individuals, as those strikes were occurring. From this standpoint, what are the ongoing discussions that are very likely happening as President Trump, we see Vice President J.D. Vance there in the Situation Room in Washington, D.C., President Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate and that facility right there. But as they're looking ahead, President Trump is stating that Operation Epic Fury will be days, if not weeks long. This is just the beginning as they really want to make sure that it is mission accomplished. What are those discussions taking place right now?
Yeah, what's great about that photograph is you saw Marco Rubio there. It's a really signal to the world that it's not just military. We have our State Department operations, and those two need to work collectively together to make sure that what happens is going to be successful for the region. My concern is that the UN, look, we're going to see initial sort of support, not from the UN, but from our allies. But as we know historically, we've seen it time and time again, as the days or weeks, or if this goes into months, we're going to begin to see the UN and others turn against I think, our efforts. And that's why it's so important that we remain unified. We talk about the successes and why the world will be better off without a violent Iran that has the capability with nuclear tactical weapons or beyond in the years to come. For the future of our country, the Middle East, and the world, this is historic. From the 1979 Iran history, we look at where we are today. We are living one of the most critical moments, and how we succeed or as a world fail will really tell us how we go forward as a country in securing the Middle East for the future.
And Paul, you're talking about how we're at a critical moment in time, a really seminal moment in time. Can you talk about the timing of Operation Epic Fury itself and why it was so essential to have that happen now?
Yeah, it really was. So these things don't happen, overnight. Certainly, we have 2 carrier strike groups out there. You have our 5th Fleet in Bahrain, and just 124 miles from Iran. But what's critical to think about this from a military intelligence perspective is you have Mossad, which is really the critical intel arm, equivalent to our CIA in many levels, watching every single footstep of the Iranian regime. And so what we saw was a daylight opportunity where they were congregated. Trump has already given Iran the red line. We saw that they were not at all truly coming to the table, and this was an opportunity to take out significant military leadership, which we have done. And so if you look at 24 hours, yes, the devastating loss of 3 American service members, horrific. But the totality of where this mission is today, this really is the gold standard for watching Israel and the United States work collectively together. This would have been hard to imagine a few years ago where we are today. And this is going to be a long road. And we have to encourage the American people and the free world watching this, that this is not going to be a success overnight, that there's going to be challenges in the weeks and months and years ahead. This is really critical for who steps into the vacuum within Iran to lead that country.
And, you mentioned one part of this stunning operation, the fact that this was during daylight hours, which is rare, but also the fact that they knew where the supreme leader was hiding. Can you talk about just the effort that the intelligence community put forth to be able to have this a success?
Sure. And much of this intel will probably become declassified in the future. But when you look at this, you have human intelligence. So Mossad is just incredible. Again, it's basically, if you think of the CIA, it's their arm, it's their intelligence apparatus, which is all throughout the Middle East. And they've been extremely successful. So they have eyes and boots on the ground, as we said, throughout Iran. They've been watching every step. But we also have air assets, drones, satellite. We're tracking on cell phone data. But I will say that from a human intelligence, which just means it's human beings, it's the most dangerous part of the work of what we do. Mossad and likely CIA were on the ground working collectively together to track the footprints. And this was the critical opportunity. Now, remember, this doesn't happen just by them seeing it. This then has to get elevated to Trump. This has got to get elevated to the president of the United States. So when you think about the timeliness of how this happened on the ground, observing the planning to the execution phase, it is textbook